Okay, we're fixing to come into an area called Beach Lake here in Lexington, Tennessee. This was the last time that my wife and I was together, and this is also the last time that my son and his wife and kids, that we was all together in a family outing, and that was in late fall of 2004. This is now 2019, and Miss Jackson decided to walk out of my life in 2005. So whenever I talk about sentimental value, yeah, I've got memories of my father having a boat out here and all of us having a good time with my son and his family, until the devil intervened and went in and destroyed my family and destroyed my dreams of my property, in which I'm going to go in a minute and photograph it too as well. And it's not because I've got any interest or investment in it, monetarily wise, but sentimentally, it holds a great deal of value to me because of memories, because of what that I have done. I feel like that I'm not any different than anybody else. You know, one man's beauty is another man. One man's trash is another man's treasure. To one person, it may not mean nothing to, but to another person, it may mean absolutely everything to. A picture, a note, a photograph, someone that wrote a letter years ago. See, these are all valuable things that the millennial generation is throwing out the door towards saying that it's not worth nothing, it's no good, it's no good. And these are things that are good, because without the past, we'll never have a decent future. So once more, I'm up here in Lexington, Tennessee, while I was out today strolling around. And I just thought that I mean it's cold outside. There's been a cold front come down, and I think tonight they're actually calling for it to get down to about freezing. But I guarantee you wait another 2 or 3 weeks from now, and this place will not be dormant like it is now. It'll be packed from row to row. People out here in bathing suits and their children, and having picnics and hot dog parties and ice cream and cake parties with your kids. It's recreation. This is what the people in this part of the area look forward to doing for leisure time. Sitting around. Some of them may have jet skis, some of them may have boats, some of them may be fishing, some of them may just be out just because they just want to be next to the water. Tranquility. But once more, these are my memories. These are my values pertaining to sentimental value. And the First Baptist Church does have a great deal of sentimental value whenever it comes to the church that I helped erect in my early construction days, towards hanging steel and going up and down steel beams and doing welding and stuff like that. The Lighthouse Pentecostal Church, the people that I got associated with there for about 2.5 years, that holds sentimental value. But obviously, that's not worth 2 peas in a pod pertaining to how other people respect my sentimental value. And it doesn't matter if it's my sentimental value in Jackson, Tennessee, or my sentimental value in Kentucky, up around the land between the lakes, or my sentimental value of my home area where I was raised up at, or my sentimental value towards the work that I done out in Oklahoma or the work that I done out in Texas. It's still my memories, my sentimental value that nobody can put a price tag on. Nobody. I can't put a price tag on your sentimental value. Neither nor can anybody put a price on my sentimental value. Because my sentimental value is my sentimental value. And your sentimental value is your sentimental value. And when we get to the point that we no longer have sentimental value and we no longer respect other people's sentimental value, that's whenever this nation will be torn completely apart. And that's whenever we will no longer have a productive, respectful society as we have been accustomed to for years and years and years. And don't say that it can't happen or that it won't happen, because I know better. Whenever you have places like Venezuela and other countries that has just fallen apart from the inside out. See, that's all new right there. Pretending those boat slips, they didn't have that probably 10, 12 years ago. But whenever you take a country that is falling apart and it no longer has any values at all, to the point that even the church community is torn apart, well, then you're looking towards catastrophe. And not necessarily a natural catastrophe, but a man-made catastrophe, because you have nothing to bond it together. You have no type of values. Your principles have went out the door. And because your principles has went out the door, odds are your character has too as well. I've got memories that goes all the way back whenever I was childhood up in Chicago, whenever they was bouncing balls off my head because the teachers had already realized that I was going to be a problem child in having learning disorders. I actually went to kindergarten up in Chicago for about a half a year before we come down to Tennessee. And of course, I got chunked off into first grade, and with all the problems going on and all the stress going on at the home front, I couldn't stay focused. I couldn't stay concentrated on my homework, and I for darn sure wasn't going to take a beating every time I brought my homework home just to make my home grades. So it got to the point that I fell short whenever it come to my education because of the abuse that was going on in my family in my childhood era. I have lots and lots of bad memories, I'm not going to lie to you, but I also have lots and lots of good ones. And the good ones exceed the bad ones. And not everybody I know can say that. But you have to judge character off of the same instinct, which is we all have good qualities and we all have bad qualities. All right? None of us is perfect. The best that any of us can hope for. Rich, poor, smart, not smart. This side of the planet, the other side of the planet, is that our good qualities will outweigh our bad. Our good qualities should outweigh our bad. And if they don't, then we're in big, big trouble. Huge, huge trouble whenever all you got is bad qualities and you don't have no good ones. See that old tractor? This is, what is this, 104? Highway 104 coming out of Lexington, back into the interstate, going back into the community called Barrington. I thought I would keep this going. That way I wouldn't have to stop it and start it in regard to 2 videos instead of 1. Because I don't think it's but about 7 or 8 miles from Lexington to Barrington. I lived on Juno Barrington Road. You know, the people in the city life, they probably adore whenever they see videos such as myself's out here that shows country living towards people with nice yards, beautiful fences that keep the horses in, ponds, lakes. They probably really admire our lifestyle in the South because of the greenery and the freedom, and it's still got a sense of nature to it that in New York and Chicago, Philadelphia, Boston, Maine, LA, Houston, Dallas. Well, once more you're going into the South once you get down into those areas. But even Phoenix, Arizona, I mean, there's lots of places that don't have all the stuff that we have right here. A lot of places, all they have is concrete and asphalt and cars and people. I think Tennessee and Kentucky on a vegetation front, as well as their lakes, their ponds, their caves and stuff like that, they probably rank on up towards being probably 2 of the greatest states in the country towards recreation whenever it comes to naturist people. I mean, you go out to Phoenix, Arizona, you see sand and desert, cactuses, other than concrete, asphalt, and people. You go up into Chicago, concrete, asphalt, and people. Unless you're fortunate enough to live next to Lake Michigan, in which I didn't know until just the other day that they have turned Lake Michigan into a dump area. And because it's a dump area, it's becoming toxic. Once more, what has done this? Ignorance. Too many people putting their hand in the cookie jar doing the same thing, and now all these tattletale signs are starting to be transparent towards what we're actually doing to ourselves here onto the planet. And they're basically doing the same thing to the oceans and the seas, where you'll take a lot of those cargo freighters out there, they dump stuff off into the ocean every day, thinking, oh, this will be something for the fish to eat. This will be something for the fish to eat. Well, is it? Or is it becoming toxic to the point that it's killing the fish? Is it becoming toxic to the point that it's killing the reefs down on certain areas going towards Australia? I mean, we may think that we're doing a good deed, but in reality, the waste that comes out of our bodies is in fact waste. And there's probably not too many species that could live off of our waste, which would basically be worms and maggots that could consider our waste as it being a protein. Other than that, waste is waste. In addition to all the plastic bottles and all the garbage that gets thrown into the oceans and the seas every day, my God, if we don't straighten up our act, we probably aren't going to be able to call Mother Earth home for much longer. No wonder we're seeing such outlandish behaviors with the weather towards extreme weather patterns going from one category to another like we've never seen before. That is a very, very curvy road. Up here is Barrington School. I remember voting in this school. I've only voted twice in my life. Both times that I voted Democrat. This was one of them here that I voted at. The other one was in Gibson County, outside of Milan, going towards Ottawa, somewhere over there. All right, I turn left here on Juno, Barrington, right here. This is where I used to live until once more the devil struck, and between what happened in Martin, Tennessee, of a bunch of cops that wanted to try to throw me under the bus towards me being a homegrown terrorist, a bad guy. It wound up costing me about a 5-acre mini farm here on Juno Barrington Road. It costed me my wife. It costed me over $500,000 in profit sharing. I had to file bankruptcy on this mini farm, which I think was maybe somewhere, give or take, around $130,000, $140,000. Now, our property line used to begin right there, where that pole right there is. That was our property line and went straight that way. But now Chris bought all this, and it's now his property. I don't know what he had to give for it, but I put up all those apple pears trees right there. Asphalted this driveway right here. It was nothing but just all gravel. The people that asphalted it, done a good job. The porch on the front wasn't there. Somebody has added that. Also see where some things has been torn up right here. Looks like a tree has fallen and maybe torn up a building that Michael Kirk and I had started building. Anyways, I had to build a retaining wall right back over there, all the way down, and the property actually goes all the way to the next road over there, way in behind there. It's not a bad piece of property, but the point that I'm trying to make is that whenever the devil struck in my life in 2005, he struck towards taking out the main vein, towards going to bring complete total destruction into my life, similar towards what has happened on April Fool's weekend of this weekend, towards what went on with the First Baptist Church in Jackson, Tennessee, and also what went on at the United Pentecostal Church. Keep in mind, we never would, I don't believe, have made this move towards coming out here and building and buying this property if things would have escalated differently than what they did with the Lighthouse Pentecostal Church in 2005. Or I say 2005, it was somewhere, give or take, around 2000. Was whenever the occurrence took place. And then about a year and a half later, we bought this property and we decided to get out of town. But then whenever Miss Jackson done what she done in 2005, in 2006 was whenever the tornado hit and tore them all to pieces up there. bad karma can really be a thorn in the side towards what comes around goes back around. Whenever it comes to righteous justice. Joe Howe lives here. Joe Howe originally bought that piece of property over there, and then for some reason he sold it to Chris. I don't know why. I think he had it rented out. I think the renters was bad renters. And that's the bad thing about renting out to people. They're not going to take care ordinarily of your property like they would if it was their own. Sad but true. People are more than welcome to call this guy and ask him what kind of neighbor that I was back years ago if they want to. I don't think I was too bad of a neighbor. He's not coming out, so I'm not getting out and knocking, so I'll come back later on another day.